Now to a country town that's defied the usual trend of rural communities, which find it almost impossible to survive when the big banks decide to shut up shop. Delegate in the Snowy Mountains faced its moment of truth several years ago, and locals were fearful that their town would simply die. But as Jane Hanson discovered, Delegate has transformed itself through people power.
Welcome to Delegate. Population around 350, give or take a few. It certainly doesn't look like much, just a few stores and an old pub, of course. But if community spirit counts for anything, this town has it all.
There's something about the people in this town. Yes, really. I mean, because I've seen a lot of other small towns and you just don't see that fighting spirit like it's here.
This is the Delegate Progress Association. Yvonne, Alma, Natalie, Val, Joe and Dot. They have literally turned the town around. You see, 6 years ago, Delegate was dying.
We'd had 4 or 5 years drought, rural prices were down and people were just leaving the place.
On top of all that, Delegate was haunted by the ghost of banks past. The National Australia Bank was the final Scrooge to shut up shop. 100 years of banking came to an end in this tiny community. Did it look like the end of Delegate?
Well, it did really, because I think you don't just lose a financial institution. People move out of the town to do their banking and therefore they do their shopping.
No, cash flow was just non-existent. We had to travel to Bombala, which was 35 k's, and then the bank I transferred over to was Commonwealth. They closed in Bombala, and then the closest bank was Cooma, so that's about a 3-hour trip up and back.
Like most businesses in town, the publican Graham Payton was suffering, and for a while there he was the only bank service in town offering to cash cheques. Come to think about that, not such a bad banking arrangement. If you're waiting in a queue, you could just have a little tipple or two.
Oh, definitely right. Taps are always open and flowing.
Hello, Michelle. Hello, Monique. How are you?
What the town could bank on, though, was the will of the Progress Association's visionary, 73-year-old Natalie Armstrong.
You've had the day in too? I just think it's terrible that country towns die because banks decide they don't matter anymore. And I think it's unfair. When I think something's unfair, I get on my high horse. That's what happens. Well, we meet back here in half an hour.
Natalie got her band of trusty helpers on the same high horse and convinced the community to back the credit care program. Advantage Credit Union took a punt on the basis of the town's spirit.
I didn't give it no chance, but I was very sceptical at first when I first drove in because the town was so small, basically.
What put you off, the bustling traffic?
Certainly not. There's no traffic here to worry about, no.
Advantage Credit Union manager Jeff Smith soon had his doubts quashed.
We had a target of $1 million for the first 12 months, and we met that within the first 6 months, so we were very happy.
That was 6 years ago, and the town hasn't looked back. In fact, it started a bit of a revolution. They wanted a new hospital, and Natalie and her band set about getting one. And what have we got here now?
A lovely building, really. It's very modern and much better for the staff to work in and for the patients.
But what about the old hospital? Never let an opportunity pass you by is Natalie's motto. The community convinced the state government to give it to them, and why not throw in a $35,000 grant to build an art centre, of course.
This is where we'll do pottery and art in here, because we've got the lino on the floor that we can clean it up afterwards. And in there is a new pottery kiln just installed in that little area there. And this is where we're going to exhibit our paintings and so on here. Sort of like a gallery, really.
And surely something could be done with the old nurses' quarters. Why not do it up as accommodation for all those future visiting artists?
We don't have a lot of accommodation in the town, so weddings and golf tournaments and things that bring people in, we'll be able to accommodate them there.
Delegate is definitely on a roll. They were missing a Medicare office and a Centrelink, so the community extracted another grant, this time from the federal government, to buy the old bank building and set up their own rural transaction centre. It opened this week.
On the left-hand side, we've got the Medicare to save everyone driving 36 kilometres to Bombala. You'll now be able to access Medicare from here in Delegate.
All of these years on, the day the bank left, is now something to celebrate.
Working on the building, we wanted to get the services.
It's just great. The best thing the National Bank have did was pull out.
And what's the message for other little towns, though, that are bleeding, just like Delegate was 5 years ago?
Well, they've all got to pull together,
Yep.
you know.
Main thing.
Everyone's got to pull together to keep it going.
I've got to ask the question, where are the blokes on the, on the committee?
They're a bit hard to
Yeah.
find.
If you can put that in, very important. We may badly need some blokes.
Well said. And Jane Hanson with that good news story from rural Australia.